back in 1957, the First Baptist Church of Orange Park decided that that they needed to expand. The First Baptist Church bought property on Highway 17. We weren't there very long, but we had to move because the interstate was coming through. They did end up paying us something like $137,000 for the property, and which enabled us to buy land where we have now there at 900 Park Avenue. And it was an old garage on there, and the men put a steeple on it, and it was awesome. When I first saw the land, I thought, is this where we want to be? But you know what? I'm not the decision maker. God is leading us, and he always says, I'll look after you.
Mount Zion Church was originally Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. They founded the church in 1879 right here on this property. So me and my wife came here 29 years ago. We came in to help them shut down and just fell in love with it. Felt like God still had to work here. There was so few people that we could have had services in a phone booth and still had room for a couple of visitors. And God began to move, and in the first 3 months after we got here and became pastor, we had baptized 45 people.
The Springs Church began in 2012. So it started in a trailer, just with 7 people who were just beginning to pray and seek God. And they soon grew to going into Pastor John's own home. And then they grew from there to a small office space where we were for probably 9-10 months, and we were busting at the seams.
What drew me to the Springs Church was really just the kindness of people there. And our slogan is authentic people trusting Christ, and that's what I felt like I experienced was real people who experienced a real God, and that translated into how they treated others.
Back in 1991, the unthinkable happened. It was about 20 minutes before the church service started when lightning struck the steeple of the church. The fire started to really be ablaze in between the ceiling and the roof, and it had traveled across the church, and it was completely on fire before we realized it.
I believe some of our biggest trials and difficulties, most recent was probably navigating through COVID. What do you do? What do you not do? Do you close? Do you go online service?
I think one of the most difficult seasons the church had to walk through was probably COVID. Our doors were shut, and at the same time we were trying to merge with Island View Baptist and start a building project.
When the job took place, we encountered a lot of difficulties, material shortages and labor shortages.
The fire was horrible, but I felt it truly strengthened our church family. That night we met in the church hall. Everybody was hugging each other, and I'll tell you, there was tears, but some of them were tears of joy because we were together and we were going to rebuild, and we were confident, and we knew that God was going to take care of us. We never questioned him one iota. God has a reason for everything.
We definitely seen God's faithfulness through it all. There was a time when nobody in Clay County or Jacksonville was able to get concrete because of the raw material shortage. But God's faithfulness, we were able to secure all the concrete we needed.
I think through those hard seasons as a church, we really learned that God is faithful. And really, even in the middle of our doors shutting and building plans not going as we imagined, God was still in it, and God was still really good to us.
God is that rock that we are anchored to. He is our fortress. He is there always and constantly. He knows all about us and all about our situation.
None of it ever stopped God. A pandemic, a building project, location, nothing stops what God wants to do.
I'm so excited about the next 10 years at the Springs Church. I expect the chains of addiction to be broken in people's life, and for the Springs Church to be a righteous testimony, not only in Orange Park, but throughout Northeast Florida, throughout this state, throughout this country, throughout the world.
In another 10 years, I see the Springs Church having planted multiple more churches. I see the Springs Church doing missions trips and ministry all around the world and raising up young people. And I just think it's going to continue, and nothing's going to stop it because God is on our side.
It's really hard to imagine what God is going to do the next 10 years at the Springs Church, because I think that none of us ever thought that we would be where we are today, which is having 2 campuses and one starting in Vietnam. So I'm just expecting more of God, more of His moving, more families healed, more wounds opened.
The next 10 years here at the Westside campus, I'd like to see it grow in numbers, no doubt, but I'd love to see it grow spiritually, see this community impacted for the glory of God, for His kingdom, for His purpose, people saved and discipled. The Springs Church is here, and the Springs Church is ready.